Okay, in this video I'm going to do a full review on the HP TouchPad running WebOS 3.0. This is the 9th video I've done on this tablet. So if you want to check out any of my other videos, there's going to be a link at the end of this video. Now I have the tablet in a sleep mode right now, and the first thing you might have noticed already is that the notification light here on the center button is flashing. That means I have a notification. So finally I have a notification to actually show you on this device. And let me just bring it up a little further so you can see. There you go. Now in order to bring this device out of its sleep mode, you can do one of two things. You can tap the power button in the upper right hand, actually top right hand corner of the device up here, or you can hit the center button down here. I'm going to hit the center button down here and it brings it out of the sleep mode. Now the first thing you'll notice here on my lock screen is I have the notification, and it's from Hulu. It says tap to add as search engine. So you can add Hulu as a search engine on here. I'm going to unlock the device, and I have a couple of cards pulled up here. So let's get to that notification. You'll notice here in the top bar you have a couple of things. It says HP WebOS over here. You have your Wi-Fi power here, your battery power, the time, and you have a drop-down menu here. But the one thing that shows your notifications is right here, and let me just zoom that in for you here. Right there. It's like a little magnifying glass with an arrow next to it. So what you want to do is click on that, and you can see the notification right there. It says Hulu, tap to add as search engine. Now what you can do with your notification here, you can just leave it there if you want. Just tap it back and it'll still be there if you want to address it at a later time. Or you can address it. So you could do one of two things. You could dismiss it by swiping it to the side. I won't do that. You just swipe it right off. Or you can actually interact with it. So I'm going to tap here, and what I'm doing is adding Hulu as a search engine here. So I've entered my just type settings here, and if I scroll down you'll see Hulu has been added to the list here. Now one of the things that was brought to my attention was that you can actually take a screenshot with this device. And I think this is it right here. One of my viewers on my channel here, Candy's All Media Review, she says that you can actually take a screenshot with this device just the same way you would do it with an Apple iPad or Apple iPad 2. So let me show you how you do that. You would press the power button in the upper right hand corner up here and the front button at the same time. And you get a screenshot there. And to view it, you just go to your pictures here. Brings up another card. And you're going to go to your screenshot section. So screen captures is right here. Click on that, and there we go. Screenshot right there. Very cool. Like I said, same way you would do it on an iPad or an iPad 2. It's a little more difficult or somewhat impossible to do on a honeycomb tablet. So just keep that in mind. Now one thing I found out after using this device is that you can either just swipe through the cards like this. You can walk through them if you want. Or what you can do is you can just tap the part of the screen where there are more cards. So there's more cards to the left here. Just tap down here and it goes to the next card over. Same thing on the right. Very cool feature. And as you'll notice, when I tap the screen, there's a looks like a ripple effect. So you know exactly where you're tapping the screen, which is really cool. Now, the device has a front-facing camera on the top of the screen here, and it's a 1.3 megapixel camera, which is better than the iPad's camera, not as good as the Motorola Zoom's camera. It does not have a rear-facing camera like an iPad 2 or an Android tablet, which is okay because I really don't find that I take a lot of pictures with my device, and if you're actually going to be using a camera, you really want a front-facing camera so you can do video conferencing. This device has Skype integrated into it, and as of right now, it's really the only program that you can use with the camera. The strange thing about this device is that there is no camera app. So I can't actually show you the quality of the pictures on the camera because I can't really take any pictures other than, like I showed you, a screenshot. Hopefully that changes and they add apps to the HP app catalog which will allow you to take pictures. Now, one thing I found about the device after using it is that the battery life really isn't up to par with the Motorola Xoom or the Apple iPad 2. Probably the reason for that is the battery is a little bit smaller in size than the other two devices, and also the multitasking on the device probably uses up a lot of battery power. However, I don't find myself running out of power during the day. I found that the tablet with heavy use, because I've been using it a lot in the past couple days, with heavy use you get about a day and a half, maybe 2 days on a charge. I find that I get a lot longer with the other two tablets, the Motorola Xoom or the Apple iPad 2. But it's not a big deal for me. For me, I would sacrifice the battery life for the multitasking because I feel so strongly about that. But it's just something you should know if you're interested in maybe purchasing this device. You're going to get a day, maybe 2 days out of the battery, which isn't a big deal because I charge my cell phone every night anyway. So I could just add this to the list of things to charge. Now, going in line with the battery life on it, there are a couple of accessories on this device which are really cool. You can get a touchstone dock. So instead of actually plugging this device in, you can actually just set it in a cradle and it will charge the device through the back through inductive charging. So you don't actually plug it in to anything. It's all just done wirelessly through the device, and that's really cool, and that's pretty much a standard for WebOS devices. The only drawback is that to get it, it's $79.99, a little pricey. It's understandable that it costs that much. It's a lot more understandable than buying a $40, $50 case, which you really, should not cost that much. The inductive charging, I understand why it costs that much, but it's really a cool feature that you might want to look into if you're looking into purchasing this device. You can also get a case, like I said, and you can get a wireless keyboard to interact with this device. So it's got a couple of nice accessories that you can get for it. Now up here on the top of your screen here, you'll notice that you always have a Just Type section. That allows you to search the web, it allows you to search your device, it allows you to search your apps, for whatever you want, basically. It's very similar to a Google search on an Android phone or an Android tablet. The only difference is on this WebOS device, it's only text, so you type it in. There is no voice search on the device itself. Now, there's some integration of services here on this device. There's a Facebook app here, and this is my Tech Harvest profile, so if you want to friend me on Facebook, feel free to do it. It's TEK Harvest. TEKHARVEST. That's my Facebook profile. As of right now, I don't have any friends on it because I don't visit it too much, but now that I have this Facebook app on my WebOS tablet, I'll probably be using it more. But the integration of services is really nice on some things in this device. This is just one of them. You can also integrate your mail, accepts Exchange, Gmail. You can integrate your instant messaging services, your favorite instant messaging services, and it integrates Skype. Like I said, right now Skype is the only thing where you can actually use the front-facing camera with, and it's very seamless in a lot of ways when you use this device. So the integration of some of the services on here is really nice. Now the screen on the device is an LCD IPS screen. What that means to you is that you're going to get a lot of good viewing angles on it. So you don't always have to be looking at it straight on. You could be looking at it from the side and you'll still be able to get a good view of what's on the screen. Now right here is the music player on the device. Right now I don't have any songs loaded on it. I actually wanted to load some songs on there. There's an HP Play program that you can download on your Mac or your PC, and I'm assuming it's sort of like an iTunes program where you can load up your songs and your playlists to, and then you would sync it to this device. Unfortunately, I tried to load it onto my PC build last night and it wouldn't install for some reason. So I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more, and once I do have an update on that, I'll let you guys know. But the program, the HP Play, you can actually go to hpplay.com and download it for yourself if you like and see if it works for you. Like I said, I'm going to try it one more time on a different computer and maybe it'll work on that. But it is a beta program, so it's probably just in the early stages, and hopefully at some point soon it's going to start working. So I will have probably a dedicated video to show you the actual music player on it. but I just wanted to let you guys know that there is a music player, a dedicated music player on the device. And this HP Play program can actually import things from your iTunes program, so that's pretty cool. Okay, the next thing I'm going to show you is a web page here, and here's one right here. And I just wanted to show you the pinch to zoom. Very responsive. And the one thing about this web browser is that you can actually not only just scroll up and down, and there's sort of like a bounce to it when you hit the extreme edge of it, but you can actually pull it off to the side. Now mostly, I mean, pulling it to the side like that is a style choice for aesthetics, but it actually comes in handy a little bit if you want to see something on the far edge of the screen and you want to pull it into more of a center view. So that's kind of cool. Now the web browser on the device is really nice. It has a unified bar up here, which you can actually put a search term in or a URL, which is nice. I don't like when you have, you know, like on Safari or mobile Safari, when you have the two separate fields there. I like the unified search and URL field. Other than that, I like it a lot. It feels real snappy. It has a lot of nice little features to it. I went a little bit more in-depth on the web browser in my previous video, so if you're interested, you can check that out. So here you go. You have the Motorola Xoom Honeycomb tablet. You have the HP TouchPad WebOS tablet. You have the Apple iPad 2 iOS tablet. The three major platforms out right now in tablets. I'm showing you this to give you a size comparison between all three tablets. The HP TouchPad is most similar to the Apple iPad 2 in size and in orientation. They're both portrait-oriented devices with the front-facing camera up top. They both have a 4:3 aspect ratio on the screen. In fact, the resolution on both screens is identical. The interesting thing is that the man behind the HP TouchPad, and before that Palm WebOS, is John Rubinstein. And John Rubinstein, interestingly enough, was the man who created the first iPod over at Apple. He left Apple and joined Palm and started the WebOS devices over there, and then of course Palm was purchased by HP. So there's a lot of similarities between these two devices in a lot of ways, and it makes sense because the DNA of both devices are linked way back to the original iPod. Now, as you'll notice, the Motorola Xoom in this orientation is taller than the HP TouchPad, and the Apple iPad 2 is pretty much the same height as the HP TouchPad. Width-wise, of course, the Motorola Xoom is going to be not as wide because the aspect ratio is different, as you can see there. The Apple iPad 2 is pretty much dead on in width. Where they all differ is the actual thickness of the device. The HP TouchPad is the thickest of them all. There you go. You got the HP TouchPad on the left, the Apple iPad on the right, and as you see, the Apple iPad is thinner. Here's the HP TouchPad on the left and the Motorola Xoom on the right. The HP TouchPad is even thicker than the Motorola Xoom. Now I'm actually going to do some dedicated videos of the HP TouchPad versus the Motorola Xoom and the HP TouchPad versus the Apple iPad 2, so stay tuned for those. This was just to give you a little idea of what you're dealing with the hardware. And if you have the opportunity, definitely go down to your local Best Buy if you're in the United States, or your local electronics store, and hopefully they might have an HP TouchPad on display there where you can actually get hands-on time with it and see for yourself what you're dealing with the hardware. Now, since we're on the topic of hardware, we're going to start the cons section of this review. Now, if you get your hands on an HP TouchPad, one of the first things you'll notice is that it is a bit chunky. Now, when I say chunky, I don't mean that it's heavy and unwieldy. I'm just saying that if you're used to maybe an Apple iPad 2 or even a Motorola Xoom or definitely a Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1, you're going to know that this is, it's a more substantial device. and it's not necessarily bigger, you know, in screen real estate or anything. It's just bigger in thickness, and it also is the heaviest of all the devices. So that's somewhat of a drawback on it. Now when I say heavy, I mean it's not like you're lifting weights or anything like that. But the one thing you have to remember about a tablet, if you've never used one before, the thing is that like right now, I'm holding this tablet up with my hand. Just so happens I'm propping it up because my hand is resting on the table, so it's not such a big deal. Now I consider myself to be in shape, so lifting any of these devices is not a chore. But what you have to remember is that with a tablet, you're always holding it. Unless you get a case or you're propping it up against something. But if you don't have a case or you're not propping it up, you're always holding it. So it's sort of like isometric training. You're always gripping the device, and if you're doing it for a half hour or an hour or 2 hours, you're going to notice any little weight that you have on the device. So the lighter, the better. The lighter, the better. The thinner, the better. One thing that I think should be incorporated into all tablets is some sort of kickstand right into the tablet, but that's for another video. Now the build quality on the device is okay. I would rate it maybe a B. It feels nice, it doesn't feel cheap or anything like that. Some of the materials they chose to use with the device, it's a very glossy plastic on the back, so it's going to attract a lot of fingerprints. So, you know, maybe they could have chose a different material to make the backing out of. The Apple iPad 2 has a nice aluminum back to it. The Motorola Xoom has a metal back to it. So, you know, they could have chosen a different material for it. It's, like I said, not a bad thing. I'm putting it in the cons section because of the competition. If this was the only tablet out there, I would say, you know, build quality is great. But when you compare it to a lot of the other tablets, it makes you think they could have chosen some better materials to make the device out of. Now another thing you got to note in the cons section here is that the software is a little buggy. I don't want to say that it's buggy because it's not something that gives you a headache all the time, but there are a couple of quirks to it that it stands to reason it's a first-generation device. I mean, WebOS has been on phones before, and this is WebOS 3.0, so you wouldn't think it's a first-generation device, but it is in a tablet form, and WebOS 3.0 is, you know, brand new on it. So there's a couple of things, couple of quirks that I've noticed. One of the things is that if I've run the battery down but not all the way, and then I plug it back in to charge it up, after it's charged up again and I go to use it, some of the sounds don't work. So I actually have to restart the machine, bring it back up from a full boot, and then everything works again. Now it can get a little sluggish sometimes. One thing I've noticed is in the HP app catalog here, when it tries to populate some of the apps in the different menus, it gets a little sluggish. That stands to reason. I mean, it is bringing this stuff down from a server somewhere, so it's understandable in some ways, but it hangs somewhat sometimes. Not all the time. I don't want to give you an impression that the device is slow. It has a dual-core 1.2 gigahertz Snapdragon processor in it, so it's very snappy. Like when I show you, going through menus and manipulating the UI, very snappy. But there are a couple of quirks where it does hang, and it does get a little bit sluggish, like right now it's trying to populate the app catalog. So that's just something that you should keep in mind when you're looking to maybe purchase a device like this. But you also have to keep in mind this is first generation hardware and they're just working out the kinks now. So hopefully these little quirks, these little bugs are going to be ironed out very shortly. Okay, and that brings us to the biggest drawback on the device itself, and I saved it for last. And that's the lack of apps. Now, the HP TouchPad has about, I think, 4,000, 4,500 apps that you can actually download and put on the device. So that's a nice start, especially since the HP WebOS phones have such a small market share. So it's a respectable amount of apps. And a lot of them are available for the touchpad. They're optimized for it. Let's just go back to the HP app catalog here I have brought up. And you'll notice right over here where you go to download it, right above it, let me bring it in a little closer. Right above it, it'll tell you if it's optimized for the touchpad or not. Okay, so that's a nice little feature there, so you know right off the bat if it's going to, fill up your entire screen on the device. So that's a nice feature on the HP app catalog. Hopefully the WebOS adoption will start to grow and more people will use it, and then more apps will come, and then it won't be such a problem. But like I said, there is a lack of apps on the device. For instance, this camera can only be used with Skype, which is nice, but there are no apps that you can actually use the camera to take pictures with. Even in the photography category down here, if I click on it, there are no apps that actually you can take a picture with. They're all just apps that you can look at pictures with or organize pictures with. Now there are apps that I use on a regular basis that are not on this device, so it makes the device a little bit less functional for me. For instance, I use a stock trading app. It's not on here. I play a lot of Words with Friends. That's not on here. Shazam, I use that a lot on my mobile phone. I don't necessarily use it on tablets a lot, but if it's in the HP app catalog, chances are you could use it for both devices. It's not on here. Those are just a couple of examples. The app catalog on this device really needs improvement. I'm sure they're aware of it. It's just a matter of getting developers on board, and really the only way to do that is to increase market share. Because when more people are using the device, there's more money to be made by developers to jump on there. So hopefully that does change with time. But right now, that is the major drawback on the device that I see in the limited time that I've had to use the device. So that's pretty much wraps up the cons on the device. Let's finish up with the pros, because there are a lot of great things on this device and there's a lot of wow factor to it. Let's start with the small ones. When you buy this device, you get 50 gigabytes of storage space from box.net. And supposedly that's for life. So just by owning this device, you get 50 gigabytes of storage. So it's like having a hard drive in the clouds. So this device here has 16 gigabytes of onboard storage on it. You can add 50 gigabytes to that as long as you have a Wi-Fi connection. So that's really cool, definite plus on this device. One other thing, let me show you here. I did a whole video on it. This is Angry Birds right here. There's an Angry Birds Easter egg in this device, and it just puts a smile on my face, and it makes me think this device has a lot of personality. Now I know that sounds strange, an inanimate object having personality, but it does. Let me just change the orientation here. I have both speakers up here. Here's my app. If I want to dismiss it, I can use it like a slingshot. Now listen up. Very cool, puts a smile on my face, and makes me think, you know what? The guys who made this thing, not only do they have a personality and a sense of humor, but they had time to add polish into this device like that. And speaking of polish, the UI on this thing is second to none. I would take the UI on this over the Apple iPad 2 UI or the Honeycomb Android UI. This thing is so intuitive, so smooth. Like I said before, in some areas there's a little bit of lag, but not in the user interface. The user interface is flawless, it's smooth as butter, and it's very intuitive, very intuitive. You can just pick this thing up and use it. As I've said before in previous videos, you know, any modern day computer user can figure out any of these tablets. So none of them are brain surgery. They're pretty easy. But this one, like I said, there's a polish to this device and a smoothness, and the UI is so intuitive. You want to get rid of a card? Gone. Out of your face. You have all these workspaces, all these areas that you can go to. Your multitasking is right in front of your face here. And these cards, the card paradigm here is genius. It's just a great way to interface with your device. You have a couple of things down here which are on your quick launch menu here. You can go further into the menus and just look at the 4 selections you have here. Everything is right there on the surface. You can figure it out within minutes. The user interface on this is just unbelievable. Like I said, second to none. I would take it over anything out there available right now. So I can't really talk enough about this. Like I said, the cards, the polish, you have gestures on this. You bring up something, you want to put it to the background, you swipe up, or you can press the center button here and accomplish the same thing. Smooth as butter. Like I said, in the user interface there is no lag at all. It's really unbelievable. These cards, you can stack them, you can move them. If I want to move this one over, I just long press it and move it, and I can place it anywhere I want within my lists here. Or if I wanted to, I could stack them. I could stack this card on this card here, and then take this card here and stack it here. And it really, you can put it in the back, you can put it in the center, you can put it in front. It's just, I know I sound like I'm gushing, but I am. This user interface is incredible, second to none. You have here a stack of cards. Generally, you'd want to do that if they're all related activities, so you can just hop from one thing to another thing. Now, the last thing I'm going to cover in regards to the pros here and wrap up this video is the multitasking on this device. The multitasking is the star of the show on the HP TouchPad. You can go from watching a video, this is one of my videos here, let's turn the sound down here, to going to do something. Maybe you want to go to box.net and pull down some documents or some pictures or some videos or whatever you have stored up there. Maybe you want to look at your Twitter page and see what's going on, see who's tweeting what. All the time this is going on, the video's playing. So in this case, I just want to hear the audio in the video, so it's playing in the background, and I can do this. It makes this device mimic a computer much more than any tablet out there. Sometimes when I'm using an Apple iPad or a Motorola Zoom tablet, I run into a wall. Maybe I want to listen to a song on YouTube and then surf the internet at the same time. I can do that on a laptop. I can do it on a Chromebook or a netbook, but I can't do it on a tablet. I have to go in and out of programs. This device doesn't hold me back that way. It doesn't handcuff me that way. The multitasking for me is the star of the show on this device. I feel like I'm using a new type of computer when I use this device. Because of the smoothness, the UI is something I've never dealt with before. That's unique, that's incredible, it's intuitive. But also the multitasking allows me to do so many things that I would do on a computer. And I don't feel like I'm using a gimped piece of hardware. So for me, the multitasking and the UI on this device make this device. So not only is it beautiful, it has a lot of substance to it. Now, since this is first generation hardware for a tablet form, I hope that the app catalog increases in size, because that is the major drawback on the device, as I mentioned before. But the ease of use on it, the UI, and the multitasking more than make up for that drawback, in my opinion. So I hope I've given you enough information for you to decide for yourself if this device is for you. You know, a tablet to me is a secondary device. It's not a necessary device. You're not going to get everything that you would get done on a regular computer, a laptop, a desktop. You're not going to edit videos necessarily. I mean, you can, but it's more effective with more powerful hardware. So a tablet basically is to just get little things done and maybe use specific apps that you like to use. And do it all with the new paradigm, the touch interface. So for my uses, I really like the HP TouchPad WebOS device. If I had to give a letter grade to the device, I'd say it's a solid B-. So if you could deal with the drawbacks I mentioned, definitely consider getting one. If there's some deal breakers in there, maybe there's a different, better choice for you, a better tablet choice for you out there. So what do you think? I've already made my decision. I bought this tablet and I'm very happy with my purchase. But what do you think? Please put in the comments below. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is there a tablet that you prefer that's out there? What's this device missing that you would want in it? I hope I've given you enough information to make up your own mind, because like I said, that's the important thing. I've already made my decision. I like this device. I voted with my wallet. Tell me what you think. So that pretty much does it for this video. I will see you next time.